Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. Today's show is actually partly sponsored by my mom because she's the biggest fan of our guests. I'm Keith Reza with my guest host, Alan Lee. How you doing, Alan?
How you doing, man?
Doing good?
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is a big
Rich
show.
Little.
Yeah, I haven't introduced him yet. I was gonna
I'm just blown away.
Oh, okay. Well, for those of you who don't know, our guest today. He's been on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson 1,000 times. Dean Martin's Celebrity Roast. He was in the movie The Other Side of the Wind, and he has a book that he wrote called Little by Little: People I've Known and Been by Rich Little, which is very, very well. And he performs every single week at the Laugh Factory in Las Vegas.
That's right.
I think it's Monday through Wednesday, and then Sunday shows. So they're really Sunday through Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They should just say that on the flashcards. Sunday through whatever.
What does it say there?
I don't know. But he's also known as the man with 1,000 voices.
Ah.
As a celebrity impersonator.
At least 1,000.
Yeah. That's got to be because I only know 4 people that I could do. Like if I'm impersonating someone, I don't know 1,000. That's got to be tough.
Well, if you're Rich Little, apparently it's not that tough.
No, it's going to be easy for him. But I want to see if we could get a celebrity impersonator face-off between you and Rich Little.
I bow out. I'm not an idiot.
But it'd be fun.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure. With you laughing.
Remember with Skylar Stone, he's like Larry King live.
Well, you know what? Don't knock that. I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was okay. Yeah, that was 5 years in the making. You just say
no, it wasn't 5. It was maybe 3.
Yeah. I think Larry King would be easy if I watched Larry King, but I only.
All you gotta do is go like this. Hey Keith, who you sleeping with now?
Is that Larry King?
It's my version of Larry King. I don't think it's that bad, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, but you know what would be funny is
you know what? I want Rich Little to do Larry King.
Oh,
I don't want to put him on the spot.
Yeah,
I don't want.
I bet you could do Larry King like that.
Well, maybe he'd help me.
Yeah, maybe he could give
coach
me
me
how to do Larry King tips.
Yeah.
But no, I told my mom that because we were supposed to go to Vegas to interview.
That's right.
And then it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get on the shows, and then Rich he had flight trouble, so I figured we'll just do a phone interview in L.A. Even though it'd be cool to go in the studio, bring the studio to him. So my mom's like the biggest Rich Little fan. She didn't believe me that
is she gonna call in like she did with Norm Macdonald?
Oh no, I won't.
You sure?
Let her. Yeah, I won't let her.
Are you sure? Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I'm ready. I don't. If she wants to come in.
Yeah. When she did that, I
thought it was funny.
Well, you know what? It was funny, but you know what I heard is that she knows Norm, so she could could talk to him whenever I opened for him. And she had to do it on the podcast.
The viewers don't know that she knows him though.
Yeah.
So it's
I
cut
just
for
thought
them.
it was a little.
Well, anytime.
It kind of embarrassed me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
moms, mothers can do that.
Yeah, that's what they're known for.
Yeah.
So, anyways, she said
too.
she would sponsor this episode, or partly sponsor this episode, if I admitted my wrongs on, our fights and stuff forever for the next 5 years. So,
you didn't write them down.
No, because I don't even know about the fights yet. But for the future, they're all my fault.
Oh.
Yeah. 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a commitment.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that.
Yeah. But hey, Rich Little is on Raise the Riffs, and it's worth it, right?
I think so.
All right. Well, we're going to give him a call right now. I got to figure out the Skype thing because they did a whole new update.
Oh, geez, that's new to me.
Yeah.
Is that our producer put that phone there for us?
No, that's the Facebook Live.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to call Rich Little. Let me introduce you.
Sure.
Okay.
But the Skype, you know what you do in the Skype.
Yes.
Beautiful.
It's easy. You
Beautiful.
type in the number and you hit call.
Yeah. I mean, I know how to do that.
It's not rocket science.
I didn't think we were going to do that.
Oh.
So I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Please.
But, because,
he's probably waiting
Yeah.
right now, wondering what happened.
All right, but don't just, all right? I'll give you a proper answer. I'll be like friends. All right, we're calling Rich Little, guys.
Hello.
Hi, Rich. This is Keith Reza.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing very good.
Oh,
Very good.
Thank you so much for doing the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Let me introduce you to the co-host, Alan Lee. Alan, this is Rich Little, the great Rich Little.
Thank you, Richard. You have no idea what a fan I am. In college, I would be in the library studying. Thank you. And I would look up at the clock, and I would say, "Dear God, I've got to get home." Rich is on, Johnny Carson at 10:30, and I would just stop studying, jump into my car, and just speed home, as the rest of the country did.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, in those days, the Tonight Show was a very watchable show. I mean, everybody watched the Tonight Show. You would dash home from dinner to see the Tonight Show. And not so much anymore, but back at the time I was doing it, a lot of people were watching because Johnny was the best there was. There's nobody better than he was.
Yeah. Everyone watched that show, even the cops, so they didn't write any speeding tickets for Alan.
Yeah, that was a plus. They were watching the show as well as I sped home.
Yeah. Well, I did it. Let's see. I did it 32 times. I hosted it.
Oh.
And I don't know how many times. I was on it, but that show, Tonight Show, did a lot for my career. I would say the three shows that did a lot for my career were the Tonight Show, probably the Dean Martin roast, and Hollywood Squares.
Oh
yeah, I love the roasts.
Now you got because you've said in other interviews that you didn't do Johnny Carson impersonations until you caught it at the zoo and you saw an ostrich.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So,
I went down to the San Diego Zoo and I was looking at some ostriches and I thought that's the way to do Johnny Carson. Because Johnny was always looking around and had those little jerky movements and all those mannerisms, and it was very much like an ostrich. And I remember he said to me when I told him that on the show, he said, "You mean you think I'm a bird?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, I've laid a few eggs in my time."
But no, ostrich is just one of those funny words. You could always say it and still laugh, chuckle a little.
That was a joke in of itself.
Yeah, that's a bird. Rich, I don't know if you remember me, but I performed at the Laugh Factory about a year ago with Jeremy Hotz and Fraser Smith, and I'm the one who told Fraser Smith to go talk to you to do his show, and because Fraser he's like, "Oh my God, that's Rich Little. He'll never do my show." And I was like, the worst you could say is no. So, you did his show, and I like to take credit for setting that up.
Oh, great! You played the Laugh Factory. How did you like it?
Oh, I love the Laugh Factory. It's the best club in Vegas, I feel.
Yeah, it's a very intimate room, and the audience is pretty close to you, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has a nice feeling to it. It's I enjoy it there. I did my 700th performance the other night.
Wow.
So I've been there 3.5 years. I think it's time I went home, don't you?
Wow, 700.
Wow.
That just must be amazing to do. That's 700 hours of comedy for different audiences. That's a thrill.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, when you do the same act every night, sometimes you have to leave a bookmark,
It's the same act every night?
No, I change it around. Actually.
Yeah, because when I saw you changed it.
Well, it's not a good idea to change the whole show. That's dangerous. But if you change little bits of it and then it doesn't work, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And you do it gradually.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it, You might find something to do and you think, oh, this is great. I can't wait to do this, and it doesn't work. And so, it's a hit and miss thing, really.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite part about doing shows like that, meeting the people after?
Well, yeah, meeting the people after is great. I sell my merchandise after, my book. I have a book out now, and I sell a lot of my sketches because I'm an artist.
Yes.
And a lot of my old shows. And all the money goes to the Gary Sinise Foundation for the troops.
Oh,
so it's really worthwhile doing.
That's
and
fantastic.
And that's where you meet the people, and that's great. Once in a while, they'll start doing their impression for me, but that's okay.
Do you ever get offended when someone tries to do an impression of you?
Oh, no. There was a guy the other night that started to do an impression for me, and halfway through, I said to him, wait, hold on. Who are you doing?
A little bit hard to figure out that kind of impression.
No, because the thing about impressions
but
is...
the thing about me is, you have to be a certain age to appreciate my show.
Yeah.
Because you got to know who Dean Martin is and Jimmy Stewart is and John Wayne is. I had a 15-year-old kid in the show a couple of weeks ago sitting down front, and I thought, he doesn't know anybody I'm doing. And the kid was laughing his head off. I couldn't believe it. So when the show was over, I singled him out, and I said, you seem to enjoy my show. And he said, Mr. Little, you're hysterical. I loved it. He said, but I was confused, though. And I said, you were confused? Yeah. He said, I was wondering why you kept changing your voice.
That's got to be the best audience reaction ever.
Oh, that's fantastic.
If I was a kid, I would be like, I didn't know John Wayne spoke like that. I just thought he was an airport.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. I thought he was an airport. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, well, John Wayne was great. I once showed him how to do his walk.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was working over at Screen Gems doing a situation comedy, and John Wayne was on Laugh-In, and they had him in a bunny costume,
Yeah.
And I went over to watch them shoot this sketch, and when I was leaving, he said, Little, don't you leave this studio without showing me how I do my walk. I'm losing it. So I did John Wayne's walk in front of the whole cast, and he looked at me, and I went right across the whole set as John Wayne, and then he said to me, well, hell, I've been walking like Loretta Young for 50 years.
Oh, man. That's nice that he was really nice about that.
Loretta Young.
Well, he had a very distinctive walk,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Rich, you're known as the man of 1,000 voices, but you also share that nickname. Did you know that? With Mel Blaine.
Blank.
Well, blank.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a man of 1,000 voices. Who does 1,000 voices? That's ridiculous.
I thought you do.
I probably do about, if I was put to the test, I could probably do about 60 impressions, tops.
Yeah. Wow. That's. Yeah. I thought I saw something on YouTube where you
did 100 in 3 minutes.
You did 100 in 3 minutes.
Unbelievable.
That's a lot more than 60.
Yeah, I did that a long time ago when I was in Canada. I did 70 impressions in 3 minutes. I just did the names.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would do like, I would say, Jimmy Stewart, George Burns, John Wayne, Johnny Carson, and I just kept going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did them in 3 minutes, 70 voices in 3 minutes.
Wow.
I haven't done it since. It takes a lot of concentration, and I had a lot more guts back then, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, also, but now you've got it all mastered, so you don't really need to do the 70. You could just do the 60.
Yeah. You could do 20 for that matter. It wouldn't really matter, Yeah.
As long as
I was doing a lot of Canadian voices too, so the routine doesn't mean a heck of a lot if I showed it in my show, because I did a lot of Canadian voices when I lived in Canada, and newscasters and people that were known in Canada, and it wouldn't mean anything here. But I may get around to doing that again. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And you do it to music, and you just throw the names in it, throw the names in, and it's quite a challenge.
I was watching Netflix the other night, and there's a documentary called The Other Side of the Wind, and you're in it. And I guess it was like...
Well, not really. I started the movie and couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
And then I was replaced by Peter Bogdanovich. And so I didn't end up in the movie.
But you were in the documentary.
I might have been in the documentary because I spent 3 weeks shooting it,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I had club commitments, and I had to leave, and Orson was devastated, but that was the deal I had. Orson took forever to make a movie.
Yeah.
When I started The Other Side of the Wind, he had already started shooting it like 3 years before in Spain.
Wow.
And a lot of the people had passed away, so I'm amazed they got that thing finished.
Yeah.
I would love to see it, because I don't think I'm in it, but I am in the documentary, yeah, because I did start it, and Orson was great with me. Orson Welles, The Wings of Man.
But yeah, that took a long time to make, because you started filming it in the 70s, right? And it just finished. So that's wow.
That's a long shoot.
Oh yeah.
That's a long shoot.
Well, it's kind of a weird premise. It's a movie of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie of somebody making a movie.
Yeah.
And Orson used to rewrite it every night. He would prop himself up in bed. He looked like an elephant, and he would rewrite the script every night. So every morning we got new pages,
Yeah. And,
but he was a colorful guy. He was, and John Huston was in it too.
Oh, John Huston.
Oh,
John Huston, the great director. That did the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah.
And John Huston and Orson Welles were like Laurel and Hardy on the set. All they did was clown around.
Well, you also did 2 other movies, One Crazy Summer and Better Off Dead, and and they both starred John Cusack. And I was just wondering, did you ever meet John Cusack?
No, I never met him. No.
Wow.
I think I just did a couple of guest shots on it.
Yeah.
Just a couple of scenes in each one, but I've never really. I've made a couple of movies, but not many.
Yeah.
Television. I concentrated mostly on television.
Yeah.
And that's how I became known, basically through TV. And with all the television they've got today, there's no variety. So it's tougher for a comic to become known today than it was back when I started.
Yeah. Yeah, because now they have YouTube.
I just went from one show to another. You do the Glenn Campbell show, and then next week you do Flip Wilson, and after that you do Carol Burnett, and
Dinah
then,
Shore.
it was great. It was a wonderful time, the 70s.
I have a question. When you did those shows, did they ever tell you can't do one show within a certain amount of months?
Within a what?
Like within a certain amount of months, they'd be afraid you're competing for their audiences?
No, not really. No. They were just always concerned about the language you use,
Yeah.
And if they were going to bleep you or not, Today you can say anything.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, I remember when I did my first impression of Clark Gable on The Tonight Show, I had to say, frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a darn.
That's strict.
That is pretty strict, but it's actually funnier like that, right?
That is. That's kind of has a little quaint thing with the darn.
And then you get
Scarlett, now listen, Scarlett, I'm leaving you. You're starting to really piss me off. I don't think that would go over very well, do you?
no, but
You know, when they shot that movie, they actually did have him say damn or darn. They had him say darn, and then they had damn, but just in case they couldn't use it. And they pushed and got around the censors and finally were able to use that. But boy, it seems pretty mild today, doesn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But I actually like the darn quote better from you. That was funnier.
Well, phooey on you, Scarlett.
But what do I know? I'm just a grip.
Yeah.
That's right.
Get those curtains back upstairs.
But did you ever have any run-ins with Jack Carter?
Jack Carter, well, he was not easy to know. He was very tense, very nervous, and he wasn't terribly friendly, but he was funny though. He was kind of a little like Don Rickles. You know, he was a put-down comic.
That's right.
And he had a lot of success, but I didn't really know him that well. No, Jack Carter, no.
But
No, I saw him just before he passed away, and he was much more friendlier then. But he was used a lot on a lot of the roasts, you know.
yeah. And then you also roasted Don
Rickles?
Yeah, Don Rickles. That name was just
that just.
Oh, yeah.
I was getting him and Jack Carter confused.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Rich's impression of Don Rickles with Don Rickles in front of him was just a hoot.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
How was that? Was
Well,
Don
you know,
was like
Don was the funniest man I've ever worked with. I mean, you couldn't top him. He just he just kept going, and it didn't matter who. In front of Reagan, he would go after Reagan. And I used to think, God, he's going to get deported, you know. And he would attack me too, you know. And I loved it when he did it.
Yeah.
He'd say, "Rich, you're starting to get on my nerves." Anyway, Rich Little, why don't you put your teeth in backwards and bite yourself to death? Rich, you're going to the home. You're going to the home. And when you get there, they're going to say, who the hell is this guy? You'll never get out. No. He never was stumped, Don was. I think he was stumped one time.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the episode of The Tonight Show where Don broke Johnny Carson's ashtray?
I did.
And then he went right into the next studio where Don was shooting Sharky or whatever it was,
CPO.
and confronted him
Yeah.
about the ashtray.
Yeah.
And Don was totally floored. He did not have an answer. It was the only time I saw Don mumble. Because Johnny just walked right into the studio in front of them shooting and said, "You broke my ashtray." You know, it was very funny.
It was great.
Well, he
And
probably
then
forgot
one
to
night,
put his teeth in.
one night on the Tonight Show when I was hosting it, God, who was the comedian? Dick Shawn was on and went berserk on the show.
Oh, Dick Shawn.
And wrecked the whole set.
That's right.
Is that
Destroyed the set.
Is that where you almost got killed on the Tonight Show?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. He picked me up on his shoulders and threw me across the room.
Jeez.
Wow. And that wasn't
He
planned at
overturned-
all.
He overturned the desk, and then we got in it, and we started to roll like we're going across the Potomac. It was very funny, but it was dangerous, though, because he threw all the potted plants on the floor, and he just wrecked the whole set. I don't know how he got away with that.
That's quite the improv man there.
He was a madman. He really was, Dick Shawn.
So he did that without even telling you.
No.
So
He sprung it on him.
wow. Wow.
No, I'd never met him before.
Wow.
No.
Wow. That was, boy.
Did that scare you, like, in the moment that happened?
Well, it did scare me, and I show it in my show. And if you look at it, it looks like he looks like he really killed me. I mean, he threw me through the air.
Jeez.
And I happened to land. I landed
Forward
with sticking my hands out so I didn't hit my face when I landed on the floor. And so I didn't hurt myself, but I could have very easily.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting. I wonder if he killed me, would they go to commercial?
But it's kind of ironic because Dick Shawn died while he was doing comedy, and the whole audience thought he was just acting, and they were like giving
That's
him...
right. He was.
Sandy.
That's right. He was lying down on the floor, and they thought he was just being silly.
Yeah.
And they went to wake him up to start the second act, and he was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He died and he
Oh,
killed,
yeah, I'm telling you.
or he killed and he died while he was killing
Yeah.
on stage.
Right.
That's probably the
Oh,
perfect
the sack.
joke. Right?
Yeah. Well, his act sure died that night. But he was an interesting guy. He really was. I'm not to this day sure whether he was on something or whether he was just being silly. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. To tell.
Now, you wrote you did Letterman in 2004, and then you said that Letterman said that you could only come back if you did a movie, Broadway, or a book, and then you wrote a book. So
Yeah.
Letterman's no longer
I
there.
wrote a book. By that time, he was off the air.
But you're welcome back now, though.
Not really.
Well, you
I
have.
don't think they got any offers.
Oh, I would say
No.
I would submit to do it again. 'Cause
Well, I would, but I never get an offer to do any of the talk shows. You know.
Well, once you do
And it's
Reza
funny.
Riffs, the offers will
You know,
come.
sometimes people come up to me. The other night when I was signing after the show, a guy comes up to me and said, we're delighted to come tonight. Gee, because, you know, the wife said you died. We thought you were dead.
Do you get that a lot?
You know. Oh, well, yeah, I do, actually, yeah.
Wow.
My wife and I wanted to see you before you died.
It's like,
They
well,
say the darndest things. People say the silliest things. When I don't know whether they're nervous or what, but the things people say to you are sometimes so bizarre. You know?
yeah.
The guy the other night said, "We saw you in 1972 at the Landmark. Was this the same act you're doing tonight?"
Yeah.
Oh.
Ask Orson Welles.
But no, I
I remember
sometimes say that.
when I was pitched to do the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time. Ed Sullivan said, "Well, what does he do?" And my agent said, "He does impressions of Jimmy Stewart, John Wayne, George Burns, Jack Benny." And Ed said, "Well, why do I want him on the show when I can get the real one?"
It would have been funny if Ed
And
said,
one time, and this is a classic. One time on the Sullivan Show, they were always pressed for time. They
Yeah.
always went overtime, so they had to cut somebody or cut somebody's act. And Ed came up to me and said, just before I was going on, he said, "We're running a little late tonight, so we've got to cut your act." I said, "Ed, I'm only doing 4 minutes." "I know, but we've got to cut it." I said, "Well, what are you going to cut?" He said, "Why don't you take the impressions out of it?"
That's funny.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
But it would have been
Yeah.
funny if Ed said, John Wayne, who's that? I thought it was an airport.
Oh,
That sounds like Ed. Yeah, Ed was, Ed was one brick short. I'll tell you, he was not a very clever guy. He couldn't read, and the young people say to me, "Was Ed Sullivan a big star?" And I say, "Yeah, a very big star. Every Sunday night, his show was like number 1 or number 2." And then young people say to me, "What did he do?" And I said, "Well, was he a singer? No. Was he a comic? No. Well, did he dance? No. What did he do?" I was stuck for an answer. I said, "He's a pointer."
He's a
He just-
winner.
He just points to the act.
And then that's the money nowadays. Back then he was
Yeah.
probably making bank for
Yeah.
pointing.
Well,
He's pointing.
if you remember Ed Sullivan, he was on the air for a long time. Oh, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it was.
God.
He
It's
did
funny.
And he
Star
was always
Search.
always looking at the cue cards. Always looking at the cue cards, Ed was.
Yeah.
Even when you were talking to him backstage, some guy was behind me with cue cards, so he could talk to you. I remember the last time I saw him, and he was in his 80s, crossing the street in New York, and I said, "Oh, Mr. Sullivan, how are you? A long time no see." And he turned around and he said, "Don't walk." He was looking at the sign.
He would have been an interesting guest on Johnny Carson.
Who?
Ed Sullivan.
I don't think Ed was ever on the Carson show.
No, I was
You?
just I was just joking.
No. Oh man. But it would have been funny. Like then he says, "Don't walk," and then 30 seconds later he says, "All right, walk."
Yeah.
Second cue card.
Well, when he said it, I said, "Well, don't walk to you too, Mr. Sullivan." And I left. But that was the last I saw him. He hardly recognizable.
Yeah.
About a month before he passed away. But he was an interesting guy, and a lot of people like me and John Biner and Jackie Mason, we got a lot of mileage out of Ed Sullivan.
Yeah.
He was a great subject,
Who is your favorite president to impersonate?
Oh, Ronald Reagan for sure,
yeah.
absolutely.
He actually
Yes.
liked your impressions, right?
He said, "Rich, you do me better than I do." And I was thinking, when I pass away, they should bury you. That's why I never went to the funeral.
But man, that's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Did you ever do your impression of Nixon in front of Nixon?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yes, I did.
didn't
Down
know-
in San Clemente, yes. Early in my career, I was invited to a garden party in San Clemente, and all of Hollywood was there. And at that time, all of Hollywood were conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, what a switch, huh?
Wow, big
Okay.
time.
And my whole act was there, as a matter of fact. And I was invited down there, and I did Nixon in front of him, and he didn't know who I was doing. I'm starting to do my Nixon in front of him, and he turned to his wife, Pat, and he said, "Why is this?" No, he said, "Why is this young man speaking in a strange voice?" No, he had no sense of humor at all.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Did you do Nixon for
No.
that 15-year-old boy?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He was laughing at everything.
Yeah, he probably said, "I thought Nixon was a library."
Talking library.
That's funny.
Uh,
That's funny.
Thank you so much. So, Alan, do you have any questions for Rich?
Well, I tell you, as I was looking at the history of impressions, because he mentioned it in a special, what the difference between an impressionist and an impersonator, and
Right.
The pantheon of political figures that Rich has done, especially during the Watergate period. It's just I was floored by that, and it's that an impressionist does this satirical stuff, and they love to go after political figures, and when he did, most of the people involved in Watergate, to my memory, Rich had done. And I thought that was just an amazing example of that idea of an impressionist, how much they love to take on the satirical political viewpoint, and that's different than an impersonator. Is that a ballpark figure?
Yeah.
That was like the longest question ever, huh?
Well, you know me, I'd like to get my point in.
No, I was
Well,
talking
yeah,
more of the Larry King.
Watergate was great for me because I had so much material. you know, and the jokes were already written by the people I did, you know, and it was a great time for satire, you know. Today, all they do is bash Donald Trump, you know, and from morning to night, and it's kind of sad, actually.
It is.
But anyway, my Trump is coming along. It's not great, but it's you know. I predict the wall will be built in 30 years, and President Pelosi will make sure the wall is built.
That's great.
I saw
Walmart is going to build a wall, or Walgreens or Mark Wahlberg is going to build a great wall, a great wall, a wall.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Do you know how to do Larry King? Because Alan wanted to ask that.
It's a minor frustration with me. I don't think my Larry King is very good. You know, it's hey, starting this interview, who you sleeping with? That's the best I could do. Do you do Larry King?
No, I don't do Larry King. No. Okay. And either does Larry. Larry keeps talking till he thinks of something to say, you know. Yeah. He enters a room voice first, you know.
He also,
I did him a show a couple of times, but I guess he's retired now, isn't he?
I think so.
Well, he has a podcast kind of like this now, but
yeah, interesting.
It's called the Larry King Podcast.
Is that what it's called?
So
okay. They put him in a pod, huh? They put him in a pod.
Well, he can no longer say you're on the air.
That's true.
Right?
It's true.
On the air. Yeah, that's funny.
Now,
I was watching Tucker Carlson the other night. Remember him on Fox?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's on it. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Now,
Carlson.
did Carson? Because you mentioned that there was a time where you didn't get booked on the Tonight Show anymore. Was that because Carson got mad that you were impersonating him too much, or like, well?
I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah.
I never found out what the reason for that was, but I suddenly was a no book on the show, and I found out there were a lot of people that were no books on the show, so I didn't feel too bad. But something happened, but I never got an answer on that.
Yeah.
I always got along well with Johnny, you know. We always got along well. It might have been his producer, Freddie DeCordova. I'm not sure, but I didn't do it for a long time, and I was not there at the end or anything.
Yeah.
And I hosted it 32 times, and I should have been on the closing show, but wasn't asked.
Yeah.
Kind of sad.
Yeah, that would bum me out too. But I mean, did you ever like try and call Johnny himself and see what's up?
No, I didn't. I went down there and talked to Freddie DeCordova, the producer, and he said, "No, it's nothing, Rich. We like you, but we don't book impersonators anymore."
Wow.
And then I would go home, and the following week I'd see an impersonator on the show.
Yeah.
So they're giving me the real answer.
Yeah.
Never found out what it was. But I played Johnny in a movie called The Late Shift, and played Johnny Carson in that movie. And apparently he liked it. He sent me a little note saying he thought that my hair was a little too gray, but he thought the show was pretty good.
Oh. Well, see, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
He was the best talk show host of all time.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Oh yeah.
You also had the Rich Little show for a while.
Yeah, I had my own variety show for one season.
Yeah.
And that was great fun. I enjoyed that a lot. You know.
Yeah.
Charlotte Ray was on it, and we had some good people. and good writers, and it should have been a success, but unfortunately, the other networks decided to put shows opposite it, and I wasn't prepared for that.
Oh, that sucks. But did you ever have Johnny Carson on the show?
No.
Oh.
No, you didn't book him.
See, that's probably why you were,
I think so.
you got you're good.
But one time, no, Carson didn't do my show, no.
Yeah.
But one time on Dinah Shore, when I was doing the Dinah Shore show, I was doing my Johnny Carson impression on the show, and Johnny walked right on the set.
Wow.
And we both were doing Carson together. And it's a great shot. It was a wonderful moment.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So I'm running out of questions, and the producer just gave me the light.
Oh,
but Rich, I wanted to talk about your book. How long did it take you to write the book?
Well, it took a number of years. I had a diary, so I had a lot of interesting stories already written out, and then I just put it together, and I keep rewriting it. And I when I started drawing, I put a lot of my sketches in it, and it's called People I Have Known and Been, Little by Little.
And can the people buy it on your website or at a bookstore?
You can get it on Amazon.
Amazon?
I think. Yeah, maybe at the bookstore. Yeah.
Awesome. And then they could also get it at your show at the Laugh Factory, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every night. Yep.
And I think I heard that you added a chapter at the end of Don Rickles, one more little summary of Rickles.
Yeah, I added a chapter with Don, so I re-released the book.
Cool.
And put a chapter in with Don Rickles and re-released it. Yeah, I did that just after he passed away. Yeah.
So did you do that so he wouldn't be able to read it, or?
No, he passed away. I don't think he'd be able to read it.
No, I know. I was making a lame joke. I only like all my jokes. They're like 50% good, 50% bad.
Yeah. Okay.
But we have the airplane and the library joke. That always works.
Good. That's a good one. Keep that one.
All right, Rich, we're going to go, but I just wanted to ask if you could tell my mom, her name's Jill, if you could wish her happy birthday. She helped sponsor this, and she's a big fan for you.
Who is it, Jill?
Jill, yes.
Jill. As who?
Oh, just wish her happy birthday as Rich Little. She's a huge fan of yours.
Okay. Well, Jill, happy birthday. And I hope you have a good day, and I hope you're able to blow out all the candles on your cake without starting a fire.
Thank you so much, Rich. I really appreciate the interview, buddy.
Okay, thanks, guys.
A real thrill.
Right. Have a great day, and thanks again.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay, you're welcome.
That's wonderful.
Bye. That was the great Rich Little.
Oh, man, I cannot believe that we're sitting here, talking and joking around with Rich Little.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was unbelievable.
My phone was going off like crazy.
Who was that? Was that your mother?
One of them was, yeah. And then I turned it off.
You could have had her come on the show.
Yeah.
Like with Norm.
Yeah. Phone interviews. I love them. My first question I was going to say, I'll tell you later, because I was like, I felt like with my Asperger's and stuff, like
sure.
the phone, like in-person interviews are way better.
Yeah, you don't have the cues. You don't have the physical cues.
So I was like,
see, I tell you one thing though. You got to think about this for a moment though. He might not have been the physical cues, but his voice, his regular, who he is, his voice without any impressions, is just such a relaxing, mellow voice.
So are you saying he liked me?
I think he did like you.
Okay,
but
cool.
I think his voice, though, whether he likes you or not, he could hate you probably.
What?
No, I'm just joking. I said his voice, you could not tell. His voice, to me, you could have cued off, and you did.
Yeah,
you did. His voice was just wonderful.
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, it's Rich Little. I'm talking to a comic hero, and then my mom started texting me and threw me off. And Sam's giving us the light.
Well, Go
Is there
ahead.
anything you got coming up that
No,
you want to?
I don't have anything to talk about right now. I'm looking for a car.
You're looking for a car.
Yeah, I'm looking for.
You're
That's all I'm doing. Looking for
gonna
a
get
car.
a new car.
I haven't decided yet.
Yeah. I just paid off my car,
You're very good for you.
so
I'm envious.
I'm thinking about getting a new car too, just so I could pay off another car.
Well, you want to sell yours to me? I like it. I like your.
Okay,
We'll talk about
we'll
that.
talk about this.
Listen, this rocked.
Yeah.
I'm just jazzed.
This is awesome, and
Can't
you
believe
can
this.
see Rich Little at the Laugh Factory in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
Sunday through Wednesday at 7:00, and he just did 700 shows, which I find remarkable. And his website is www.richlittle.com, where you can buy his book. His book is Little by Little, People I've Known and Become by Rich Little. You can also buy it on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. And Mom, thank you so much for sponsoring this show.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Mrs. Reza.
Yeah. And, all our fights in the future, 100% my
Guaranteed.
fault.
Guaranteed.
My fault.
Well, there you go. There you go.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Alan Lee.
Alan Lee will be back.
And I got a show February 11th at Sal's Comedy Hall. You can buy tickets at www.sals.com
That's on Melrose.
on Melrose, or you can go to www.keithreza.com to buy tickets. Also, if you like the show, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, rate and review. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube at Reza Riffs, REZARIFTS. I'm Keith Reza. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.